Hi guys, Chad Trofkerman here. Welcome back to the Steve in the Alien Anime Studio tutorial series. In this lesson, we'll be focusing on the final piece of the puzzle for our scenery. We'll be drawing out the driver's seat of the van so we can have Steve drive the vehicle and we can show him inside doing his thing. So to get started, you need to have a blank document open, and we will just come over here to the layers panel, double click, and rename this to door. And click OK. So now I'll want to stick to a similar color scheme that I had with the exterior of the van. So I'll choose an olive green color for the door. Something like this. And I'll set the width to 4. Now using the add point tool, and starting right about here, I'll just come up and then down like this. Like that to complete the shape. And if you didn't have autofill on, you can just fill in the shape with your paint bucket tool. Now next, I want to create another piece for the door. So I'll just make a new layer and name this door piece. Using the same color, take the add point tool, and we can start right about here, and I'll just draw up. Just like that. And of course, we can now fill it in. And if need be, you can put the door piece below the door itself and then drag it down just a little bit so that it looks like it's matched up with the door as far as a straight edge is concerned. Now we want to draw the back seat portion of the vehicle. So I'll make a new layer, and I can name this Interior Piece 1, or you can name it Backseat, whichever you want to do. That will help you out as far as remembering what this layer is. And now I want this to be a different color than that of the door. So I'll just take my fill color and I'll make it a little bit different. Try that. So now, taking the add point tool, I'll start right about here, and I'll come down like this. To create what will be the window for the back seat. And then, expanding this out, I'll go down, over like this, and then I can come up. And I may actually put this interior piece below the door panel once I'm done here, but for right now, we'll just stick with what we got here. Come up. Then right about here, we'll just follow the door piece out like this to about right here. Just like that. And what I can do too, I kind of want this just to move up a bit and have this up just a little bit like that. So it's like off the screen. And this stuff can be adjusted, especially once you have the camera in play. You can zoom in and do a couple of different things like that. For right now, I think I'll just move everything like this. And then in fact, what I think I'll do is increase the size of the door piece and just bring it up like this. Like that. Then come back here, and then I can take my fill color and fill this in. And now we have the interior in play. And it doesn't look like a whole lot right now. It's a little bit iffy looking, but don't worry, this thing will be pieced together soon enough as we continue on. So the next step is to draw out the steering wheel column, which will include the steering wheel itself, the shifter, as well as the dashboard. So, making a new layer, I'll name this dashboard. And I can place this above everything else. I'll just zoom in like this and grab my add point tool. And I'll choose a different color, something maybe bluish gray. Like that. And then coming right about here, I will just start and move up like this. And just kind of come down and make a shape like that. And then I can fill this in. And then I want to come up like this. And go like that. And then I'll fill that in. And then finally, I want to add a couple of lines here. So I'll start right about here and I'll add a line going up like this. Then zoom in here and I'll extend this line out a little bit like that. And then I'll grab the paint bucket tool and choose stroke and then fill in those two lines. So now we have that complete. And I may also take my translate points tool and just flatten this part out a little bit. And I may need to adjust some of this stuff as I continue on, but for right now we can leave it. So now let's draw out steering wheel columns. So I will make a new vector layer and name this column. Then take the add point tool and I'll change this color just to something a little bit more lighter. And I'll turn sharp corners on and we'll start about in the middle of this column, or the dashboard I should say, and go up like this, and we'll just do a couple of things like this. Like that, and then we can just close the shape off and make sure that we fill it in. And if need be, we can put the column below the dashboard too, so we can get that rounded look to the line cut off right there. So next, let's draw the steering wheel. So I'll make a new layer above the column, name it steering wheel. Steering wheel, I should say. There we go. And then take the add point tool, make sure that sharp corners is deselected. We'll choose a fill color of a darker gray variety. And then we'll start in the middle of the column and we'll just go up like this. About like that, and then come down. Like that. And then we can make a couple of minor adjustments here like that. And then fill this in. So now we have the side view of the steering wheel. And finally, I will make the shifter. So I will make this shifter, come over here to the Add Points tool, and take the fill color and let's make it even a darker gray than that of the steering wheel. And I can zoom in like this. I'm just going to make a funny little shape. Something like this. And fill that in, and we can make sure that that is above the dashboard on the layers box so that it sticks out like that. And we can adjust it if need be. And there we go. We now have the steering wheel column for the van as well as the dashboard and everything else. So now let's focus in on the seat where the hero or Steve will be sitting. So I'll make a new layer, seat, and I will change my fill color to something brownish. With the Add Points tool, I can start down here, and I can move the cursor up like this. And then just bring it down like that. And I can fill it in. But first, I'm going to add another line and divide the colors out so we can see the side of the seat versus the other portion of the seat. So starting right about here with the Add Points tool, I will just draw a line down like this. And then take the Paint Bucket tool and fill this in. Come over here to my fill color and grab a darker brown and fill this in. And I might have made this a little bit too thick, so I'll just select the whole thing and shrink it in a little bit like that. So next, I want to do the head portion of the seat, so I'll just make a new layer and name this head portion. Come over here. First, I will just grab the light brown color with my eyedropper tool, and then select the Add Point tool, starting right about here. And go like that. And then I will fill in this portion. Take the eyedropper tool and select the dark brown part, and then fill in this portion. And then finally, I can actually just move this down a little bit. I want to add a couple of metal pieces that connect the head to the seat. So I'll just name this metal pieces, and I'll bring it below the head portion as well as the seat. And take the Add Point tool along with the fill color of gray. And then just add in those 2 points. Like that. Actually, I can just zoom in here and just make this a little bit more skinny, and then I can even probably do the same with this one too. There we go. Okay. We now have the seat figured out. Next, we want to add some exterior portions to the vehicle. So making a new layer, I'll name this exterior. And what I want to do next is bring in the van that I made, the exterior part of the van, and grab the color from that, because this is now going to be showing, of course, the exterior part of the van, and we want it to be consistent. So go to File, Import, Animate Studio Object, and then you can just locate the van prop that you drew from a few lessons ago. And you can grab either the side, the back, or the angle. It doesn't really matter which. And now we have the van right here. And what I want to do is just grab this green color with my eyedropper tool. So I'll take the eyedropper tool and select that green color. We can hide that van group layer just momentarily in case if we need it further, but we probably won't. So I'll probably delete it momentarily here. But now, taking the Add Point tool, I will start right about here and just come down. Like that. I can just section this off now. And fill that in. And starting right about here. Oops, I'm going a little bit too steep here. Let's try. There we go. Not steep enough, I should say. And come up like that. And if we want to, we can even loop and come down like this a little bit. Lock that in and fill it in. There we go. And now finally what I need to do is import in the outside assets, such as the sky, the ground, and the mountains. And we can easily do this by taking them from one of our outside shots. So go to File, Import, Animate Studio Object. We'll back into the Drawing Scenery section. And then I will grab my highway profile shot and grab the sky, click OK, and we can move that to the bottom of our layers so it's on the background. And then we'll do the same. We'll just import another Animate Studio object and choose the ground. And we'll do this a couple more times to grab the mountains. Make sure that's below that. And there we go. And I do need to make a tweak to the exterior portion now that I look at it. We want this portion to seamlessly transition into this portion. So I can just basically move this down like this. Zoom in a little bit here. Move that up like that. That's what I want. Okay. So now I want to also double click on the exterior layer and change the blur radius to something like 10 and click OK. So now when we render that out, we have, as you can see, it's a little bit blurred out. And you can tell that it's not exactly part of the foreground. And finally, if you want, you can also take your zoom in camera tool and zoom this in. That might look a little bit better depending on how you are wanting this to look. You can just try some stuff like that and render this out. And that looks a little bit tighter, and you can play with that if you wish. I'll also want to fix this door piece right here. I noticed that there's a gap. There we go. Now finally, there's a couple more things you could do if you wish. You could go into the window portion here and you could draw out some glass, and then you could adjust the opacity of that so you could see that it's glass but it's transparent, just giving it more of a in-depth look. Or you can keep the windows rolled down. It doesn't matter, just depends on what you want to do. So there are some other tweaks you can make. You could do some more tweaks to the interior of the van. I have it very basic setup right now. You may also find that when you bring your character in, you're going to want to adjust some of these assets further. You might want to bring the seat up. You may have to adjust some of the background to compensate for that. It just depends on how you drew this all out. And looking at it too, this window might be a little bit too big for the whole van. But again, those are little things that you can tweak when you are continuing on with your animation. So anyway, that wraps up this lesson. Thanks for watching, guys. And next time we'll be focusing on the start of our animation by actually animating things out. So I will see you guys then.